Hi, welcome. Thank you for being here. I'm Jennifer Roberts, and I am at the moment on a strike on YouTube. So I was just getting back into it, and assaults and whatnot happened. And then I got a strike. I recognized that I couldn't upload a video that I'd done for all of you guys. And I'm just sorting out this music so it's not so loud. So I did it. Explaining, which you will see it eventually, explaining what had happened to me as I was coming out of school with Theodore, and went to upload it to find that, oh, there's a strike on the channel and I'm not allowed to upload. I've only just been allowed to comment on that from that channel. And that's for another week and 1 day, it's saying, as of today on Saturday. So I'm just going to get videos done as and when I can. So I've got plenty to put out there, but also let you know what's been going on again. So when you do walk this life path, particularly at this time of where there is an unquenching power, grab, a unquenchable thirst for power and control over many, by a few. And I don't just mean those few in the ivory towers or behind the gated communities. I mean the few that walk amongst us too, as in the grifters. You've seen it. They've seen an opportunity to control and guilt and shame their followers and anybody outside of their cult rhetoric, to the point where there's lots of little mini power grabs everywhere. So when you do walk this path that I'm on, when you do walk in a certain vibration, you do attract attention. And so I go from a space of sometimes getting cross with it, then transmuting it and thinking, it is what it is. And so I continue. So I continue today with a writing on the wall regarding the weaponization of love and light. It's a huge part of what's been going on in this psychological warfare that is being carried out. We do see that, from various people on various platforms that have followed the narrative of savior outside of self, and it's paid off very well for them. That you'll see it from those spaces. You'll see it in the meme culture, which is the modern day, sigil. We're drenched in it's all love and light, it's all love and light. And when you have many neophytes coming into a sort of awakening, a stirring, and grabbing a hold of that, because that's far more comfortable to grab a hold of. No, it's all love and light, we've already won. That takes out of the weaponization, is that it takes away from the ability to be the true observer and to really be able to look beyond this love and light bubble that you create and see that actually there are many people and systems that we live under that do not predicate love and light. They do not promote love and light. And actually, a lot of people are in situations right now because of the weaponization of love and light, where many aren't talking about their plight by the same powers that be. And so this is to speak on that a little bit and to be able to, just travel down this thought path a little bit to open up maybe some minds of it's a real passive aggressive move that I've noticed, where love and light, the sacredness of love and the incapacity to ever be able to truly define love, because it layers itself in a different frequency, in a different color on each situation, each relationship. It's so changeable. It's hard to grasp and just define. So when I say love, I feel that sense of this all-encompassing, beautiful, powerful, sometimes wrathful in when it's protecting its young, for instance. Love, and that's the essence of it. And love is a very short word to try and encapsulate all of that. And light, yes, light, it makes things grow, it makes life possible, but it really does again minimize the sheer enormity of what that one word would mean. And so it's vague enough when it's just said often enough, love and light, without truly meaning a part of the essence of those two words that I've just described. It really minimizes it. And what I've found is that there are many people who've been stirred into some sort of awakening because of the star alignment that we're in, and the powers that be jumping on that bandwagon to garner control through it. You have this, you go into rooms where really there should be rooms that are, or chat rooms, or shows, or whatever it is, into spaces where you should really be able to speak very honestly about the plight of the Iranian women and those Iranian men that support their women in fighting for to have their freedom back, that not so long ago was apparent in my mother's lifetime. It was a cosmopolitan place, you know, a leader in the real out there 60s fashion, to this. That Iran is a great blueprint to see just how quickly religious doctrine can take over a space and control it in a way that really holds back the creativity, in particular of the divine feminine, but therefore also the divine masculine. Can't affect one without the other, good or bad. They're a pair. And so it's so when you go into those rooms that and those spaces and those shows where you should feel comfortable to be chatting about, yeah, I'm not bringing down the tone, I'm not bringing down the frequency, I've been an observer of this situation, of this plight, and it does need to be spoken about or explored, or just not hidden. And you'll find that it's oh, you're bringing my vibration down. This is a space of love and light. And yes, there are times when I'll create a sacred circle, I'll create in ritual only the encompassing of love and light, but that does mean that sometimes clients are in floods of tears because that love and that light has opened up a time capsule within them that really does need to be cleansed, and not held back by a passive aggressive phase of no, it's all love and light here, you can't cry, you can't roar, you can't release, because it's all love and light, this has to be all pretty and fluffy, and that's not what it means. It has been condensed and concentrated into a very passive aggressive move, and it is very clever, because in those spaces where you get shouted down in the name of love and light, which is the same blueprint as in the name of God, you will not speak of that here, you know, they bring it into a tone of guilt for you bringing down the frequency, for you being that observer of that thing, that if somehow you are observant of a situation, a disparity, a unequaling, a unpairing, a unfairness, and you bring it to light by being the observer, then speaking it into different spaces to spread the word, and bring awareness to it, you find that you are shouted down and shunned out of there. And actually, so it's using what seems like a very peaceable and loving phrase, love and light. It's using it as a real passive aggressive shun. And with that, it is the sacrilege of the true meaning of love and light, and the true enormity of what that phrase is trying to encapsulate. And it brings it into a space also of, it runs through very much on the attack of the divine feminine, in that the divine feminine is very good. The human female body is very good at coming around in cycles and shedding, quite literally, on a regular basis, and absorbing and speaking out. It's well known that the women speak to each other more at a deeper level than a lot of men that are gathered round together. So it's our part to play, so to speak, in being able to spread awareness of what we have observed. but very much so it's with the same essence of, it's all love and light here. You're bringing down the vibration. It is still it's the same equivalence of saying, you know, you're a witch, and you could use exactly the same herbal mix that the Pope's servants mix up, you know, for the incense to be wafted around. But if you are somebody who's been labeled as a witch who wants to bring the vibration down, you would be totally lambasted and in the wrong for doing what is the same principle ritual of using incense to clear the frequency, to invite other frequencies in, to push out negativity, or to create a sedative effect, or a lot of the ingredients that go in that essence, in that incense that the Pope uses. I've hooked into that before. They use things like myrrh. They use things that will create an openness in your spirit, to your soul. They'll use that as a tool to put you in the right space of whatever they want to be downloading into you at that point. But do you see how it's used, in that it really is a weaponization right now of love and light, and that weaponization is very much attached more so to women in general, and attached to the huge attack on women that is happening right now, that again happens in cycles. They've burnt witches, they've sterilized witches, they've jailed witches, they've assaulted witches, they've done all of these things to hold women down in these cycles. Why? Because we are good at observing and speaking out. We're good at observing, intaking, and then shedding it out, releasing it out, to be a conduit, to be a channel. So this weaponization of love and light and the minimization of love and light is something that I think the spiritual community needs to be really watchful of, in that a lot of people that are falling for this weaponization of love and light have only just come into their spirituality. They're in a very much so a neophyte form, and they're the ones that are actually bringing a weapon into a space that, for the masters, we're pretty good at trying to keep those weapons out of our ritual spaces, out of our ritual circles, out of our sacred spaces, especially when we're going into some kind of trance meditation, healing form. We have to be very good at keeping the line of the circle very firm and clear, boundaries made clear. But this sneaking in under the rug of the weaponization of love and light, and the various forms of the teachers who are here to do so, who are here to do that, being shouted down by the very people who would it would be of value to them to truly understand that things like this should never be minimized. They should never be compressed and labeled into something that then can be determined by the person who is going to speak them out. What those compressions and boundaries and labels mean. They can use it as, just like they use a lot of verbs and verses in the Bible. They'll weaponize it to their end, to their gain, to bolster their argument, so to speak. And so be aware of that for the masters amongst you. Be aware of there is a necessity to create smaller circles, to create smaller, tight groups. And yes, have them ever growing, but being very much aware of what is sneaking under the rug in the spiritual community. And what I've witnessed over the last few years, in particular, the weaponization of that phrase, love and light. I hear it coming out of the mouths of people, and this is just not a generalization, this is an observation. I hear it coming out of the mouths of people who actually have a lot of narcissism there that is out of control, out of bounds. They have a lot of skin in the game as to whatever is behind them saying that phrase. They have a lot of skin in the game or judgment, and actually are just clinging on to that one aspect of spirituality, because they can shut people up by saying it. They can shun people out of groups by saying it. They can create the guilt and control themselves. And they also are holding on to a life raft that is palatable for their awakening. Whereas many of you will know that these rolling awakenings that we have are not always what you would call palatable. They are a myriad and a mix of emotional flow, physical flow, consciousness flow, spiritual flow. They are anchoring, they are lifting, they're a myriad of experiences going to any one cycle of an awakening of any aspect of your life. So they are not the fluffy or love and light, although in its sacred form, that love and light is there with you in that whole myriad, and quite happy to dip its essence into the dark and the light, because it wants that balance in an essence of energy and of itself. It finds a way to be that conduit. And actually, by the weaponization of love and light by these people who do so, they block that flow. They block that flow with the full stop at the end of that sentence, with the full stop at the end of that phrase. They are blocking that sacred flow of the very thing that they profess to want to keep in the group and only have in the group. So be aware of this. Be aware of this if you've found yourself veering off into, the danger zone of using sacred essences and compressing them into the very much so English language in particular, into a word and a sentence and a phrase that can then be compressed and distorted to the speaker of the phrase, whoever is speaking it out, whoever is sharing the meme. So yes, keep sharing the love and light, but don't try to label it and compress it and box it off, because then you're veering back into organized religious blueprints of where somehow you are seeking to control the flow of the very thing you profess to be an example of, a living example of. So I hope this helps. I hope this has been a interesting and timely download for you, and that you can carry it forward towards your greatness, towards your serenity, towards your peace amongst the chaos, and enable you to also be brave to, when you notice this, to not be backed down by it. If you find that you've gone into a space with an observation of truth, and you realize with certain reactions that you get that this wasn't the right space, it professes to be, but it's not. Yes, of course, just remove yourself. But there is a level of a need to push forward in a different direction, very much so right now. There's not enough pushing in the opposite direction of where we're going. And so if you do find yourself in a group where there are 70% of the people that are willing to listen to your observation and have their own enlightenment about your observation, then yes, it's worth it. But be aware of it, in that just don't let these people that don't understand what they are saying, or the results of what they say and what they do. Stand strong. Don't be shamed. Don't be guilted into, well, if this happens to you, you're not walking in love and light. Yeah. Don't back down to that, because it really is that passive aggressive move, and it looks good for the person who is throwing that arrow, using the terms love and light tied on to that arrow. it looks good because it's a very easy way to say, I didn't say anything. All I said was keep the vibration up. It's all love and light here. Well, if you were putting that down on paper, people outside would say, well, they didn't say anything derogatory or nasty. So passive aggressive moves are really strong moves for people who want to garner control and power over others, or be micromanagers to their own lives, and can't see beyond their own aura, beyond their own bubble, of how you would apply that to what is really going on outside of that bubble. So stand strong, remove yourself from places you know that I came into the wrong saloon here, reverse back. But push forward in those spaces where you feel an opening, a space of with people in it that have the ability to listen, to transmute, and receive, and then bring out their observation of your observation. Push forward on that and ignore the naysayers that are, well, I'll leave because this is just low vibrational. That's what's really happening to some people. And if we are warriors of light, if we are warriors of love, well, we're in a space and a time where very few people, even if you count those who walk amongst us, there are still much, compared to the power of souls that come in with this type of path, there's still very few. If you were measuring it frequentially, so it's important that we do come in with love and light, but that we don't have the predetermined, very boxed off, very limited and very labeled. We're not allowing ourselves to be boxed in, basically, by the misunderstanding of many neophytes that have been sort of shook into awakening of some sort because of what has been going on, because of the power grabs and the controls that but this space, when we do come here, when we are here, whatever this here is, it isn't pretty what's going on. It's not pretty what's happening. It is totally unnecessary. It's completely unnecessary that Africa is one of the richest places for minerals, for cocoa, for all of these things that are integral to our life around the world. It is ridiculous that they are not in a state of wealth. It's ridiculous that there are so many people in these different countries homeless, and because it's completely unnecessary. This is what happens when a few are allowed to gain too much control and too much power. This is the imbalance here isn't all love and light. We walk here in love and light, and to be honest, a lot of the time that gets us attacked, it gets us assaulted, it gets us noticed by people who you would rather didn't notice you. It does do that. So to not be aware of that and be in spaces where it's basically a very clever, under the rug form of controlling people's speech, controlling people's observations, and then controlling how they speak those observations out. And the worst thing is that these powers that be, that have such astronomical wealth, literally made up, it's just made up digits of made up trades, of made up back doors, that they've got with governments hooked in, like hook, line and sinker, they basically, but they on paper, on everything that we use to verify wealth, they are astronomically wealthy. But to say that it's a very clever move, because they actually have to do very little. They drench the market, they're put in place or promoted just by stroking a few people's egos, especially with the Q train thing in the spirituality community. That was a huge psyop and level of control in the spiritual community, with a lot of truth but mixed in to a lot of distortion and distraction. You've got then it is another form of controlled speech, because all they've had to do is promote that through very few people, through very few spaces. And because it is a lovely thing, and the artwork that is inspired by love and light, it's beautiful to look at, but there is a lot of diluted form of the artwork of love and light. There's a lot of diluted form of what is accepted as being love and light. So all they had to do is drench the market. And it's actually the many of the neophytes that want to cling on to that like a life raft that actually then go forward to control other people's speech and other people's observations and how they speak out about those observations. So be aware. Don't be afraid to be challenged. Don't be afraid to be in the spotlight. It's impossible 444 on the thing when I'm doing that. It isn't easy all of the time. It certainly is not. But the weaponization of love and light has to stop. And the only way that is going to stop is if there are those of us that are brave enough to say, you're being passive aggressive right now, and I'm not taking it in. You are coming from a place of lying to yourself one way or the other. Not even interested to look into why you're doing that particularly, but I will not be stopped by you. I will not be shamed by you saying this and having others potentially look at me or anybody else that's thinking along these lines. Remember, this is just a thought train. You know, I'm not going to be ashamed of being even shunned, you know, because it's going to take people who have got that grit to do that, to push back all of these sneaky little weaponizations that have actually paid off for them in dividends, because a lot of people have been fooled into, if I just meditate, it's all going to be love and light. Well, that's very you, isn't it? Let's then stop saying we're here to try and change things, to try and rebalance things, to try and redistribute things, to reevaluate things, because that it's very much of well, that's a you problem, you know. So be aware of it, be the warrior, keep walking your path. I love you, and I mean that in the all-encompassing sense of what love cannot be defined to be. It is so powerful, so changeable. So whatever love you need today, take the essence of love from me, transmute it, and use it how it needs to be used, and conduited through you for your greatness. I appreciate you all. Thank you for hanging in with me. It's been a ride. I came at a time, warned many, stuck to my path, and it's made it so that it's not easy at all. But I can sleep at night. I can sleep at night knowing that I don't feel like I've ever sold myself out. I don't feel I've ever tried to sell others out. So you can take strength from that, absolutely, of what is wealth to you. Well, wealth to me it involves integrity, it involves morals, it involves my stance, it involves my strength, it involves all of that for me, that and more, but they come under wealth for me. I actually have a relationship with self, in that it can very often be that I'm looking through the lens from a personality that reflects that part of me, and then a personality that reflects this part of me, and then a personality that reflects this part of me. And I can be very challenging to self. And so actually, I don't want to piss self off. I don't want to lie there in bed at night with this part of this personality, with this lens, looking at this part of me that acted in a way that day, or did this or did the other. And I can be quite wrathful to self. So I don't want to go there. I don't want to be answerable for things that are avoidable to me. And one of those things that is avoidable to me is that I haven't sold out on my integrity. I haven't sold out on my knowings of my gnosis. I haven't sold out on wanting to harm another to gain or garner control for self. Because that is something that I would find very difficult to sleep with, to sit with. There are actually people out there, believe it or not, especially the ones that want these powerful positions in families, in the powers that be, that shouldn't be. There are people who actually can sleep very well at night and actually would rail themselves over the coals because they didn't take more from somebody when they had the chance. And so you know, pick your lane, but you be comfortable in your own lane, whatever is fired at you from the sidelines. Make sure if you walk in your lane, even though those things that are fired at you might initially hurt, they are not going to bed in. They're not going to absorb all of your consciousness and all of your subconscious as you sleep, because you can call back to, well, where did I cross my lines? Not other people's lines. Where did I cross my lines? So this is a message of that, because it's uncomfortable for a lot of people. I understand that the psyops of wanting it to be all love and light is very enticing to some, but that actually doesn't even interest me. I've tried to see it, I've tried to feel it, and I can't be interested in that, because no matter how deep or dark a truth is, I much prefer to deal with a perception that is being an observer of a state of being in truth, of being able to see it, because that's the only way I know that I can then go in and address it, either for myself or for somebody else. I can't work with lies and lying to myself. I can't work with that. That's not something I can work with in clients. It's something I'll call out very quickly and easily, because it's, to me, it doesn't make sense. So, you know, to walk that path is difficult in a reality that's been built up of lies and illusion. It's very difficult to walk in truth, but walk in truth I do. And because of that, I don't rail myself over the coals at night, because I can be comfortable with it. I can be comfortable that I did what I did because I did this, because of this, or because of that. And I had to do that for me or for somebody else, because that's my line. That was a line that should not be crossed. You know, so be strong. Again, I say I love you, I say goodbye, and then I go off on another tangent. So it's good to listen to the end. So anybody who's managed to listen to the end of this, I do appreciate you all. I hope it was not a derailed thought train. I hope it was more direct. I know I still have concussion. I know I'm still dealing with that. So do excuse me if I went off kilter. But to be quite frank, it's not too different to when I come on here anyway, when I'm channeling my inner self out to you all. It can go a bit off kilter, can't it? So I don't know if any of you have even noticed the difference, which I don't know if that's a good thing or a bad thing, but I do appreciate you all. I do want to organize something, online event of some sort, where we can get together and really just lift up each other and really feel the myriad of essences that love brings and that different fractals of light bring. So yeah, let's talk about that. When this does go up on YouTube, you guys over there, please leave a comment, please like, and of course, please subscribe. I've been on a stalemate for so long. But if you find it on anywhere else, please do the same. I really do appreciate it. And let's talk, let's organize, let's get it lit. I think it's necessary. Anyway, have a great day, evening, night. Just be great. You are great. You are amazing. You are the experience. So, experience where your heart leads you to experience today. Much love.